This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
The coronavirus outbreak has sparked concern amongst teams preparing for the summer Tokyo 2020 Olympic and Paralympic Games. On tonight's Sports Scene, we focus on the measures some of the national Olympic committees in Africa have taken to safeguard their athletes as part of the global effort to combat the disease. Hello and welcome to the show that brings you African sports news, views and interviews. This is Sports Scene. I'm Mahia Mutua in Nairobi. Great to have you joining us. Let's check out what else is coming up on tonight's show. Hosts Senegal start rugby talent search ahead of the 2022 Youth Olympic Games. And the Tour du Rwanda turns cycling into a national sport in the East African nation. Welcome to the program. Now, the coronavirus outbreak poses a challenge to athletes preparing for the Tokyo 2020 Olympic and Paralympic Games. However, Team South Africa's preparations have not been hampered in any way by these latest developments. And as CS du Plessis reports, the South African Sports Confederation and Olympic Committee aims to keep it that way.
The South African Olympic and Paralympic teams will continue their preparations as normal, despite the concern over the spread of the coronavirus. According to the acting president, Barry Hendricks, all precautions are being taken to ensure that the athletes' health and safety is looked after and that the teams have the best chance to win medals in Tokyo. There will be another update on the severity of the situation at the end of March, but for now they're following the international protocols.
Our heart goes out to China and all the families across the world that have been affected by this virus. We as SASCOC act in a professional and responsible manner. We rely on the World Health Organization's bulletins as well as the IPC and the IOC's bulletins. Those organizations at international level will guide us and we will follow their guidelines.
Team South Africa's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Carolet Kluter, believes that all athletes should remain focused on their plans and not panic, as there's many protocols in place to deal with the spread of the virus, but to be aware of the way in which the coronavirus is contracted and to look out for the symptoms.
I personally think we should go full force, but with open eyes, and really just make sure that we don't become blindsided by the event. We have to take precautions, so I seriously don't think it's a panic at this moment in time, but we definitely have to be very closely monitoring the situation, making use of the information that the WHO gladly gives us and disposes us, and we have to make sure that we keep with those rules, and then I'm sure we'll be safe.
For now, the Olympic and Paralympics will go ahead and the actual risk to the athletes travelling is minimal, but everything is being done to protect the health of the competitors, ensure that the biggest sporting showpiece is not overshadowed by the deadly virus and continues to be a celebration and showpiece of Olympic and Paralympic excellence. CS du Plessis, CGTN, Johannesburg.
Now, at least 17 Ugandan athletes are guaranteed places in the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. But the threat of a coronavirus outbreak in Japan has raised concerns about their health, alongside fears that the Games may be cancelled. Leon Senyange reports from Kampala on how Uganda has reacted to these latest developments.
Shadir Musa is one of Uganda's Olympic hopefuls. The welterweight boxer has been training for 3 years now. He is determined to fight his way to the Tokyo Games.
Of course, there is a lot of hope in me and the entire team. I myself, they have been looking at me. Everyone is willing and expecting much in me.
Shadir hasn't qualified yet, but even if he does, his dreams could be dashed. The coronavirus outbreak in Asia and now Europe threatens to derail the world's largest sporting event.
I think Uganda and Africa as a whole have as well got to be bothered because some athletes in different disciplines have still got to take part in competitions to qualify for the Olympics, that's one. But also these athletes, the elite runners, also have got to take part in preparatory events. And in one way or another you find their travel schedules, their preparations are also going to be affected in one way or another because of the virus.
But Uganda Games officials are not losing hope yet. All efforts are being put in place to keep the athletes ready and safe in the lead up to the Games, which are scheduled to start on July the 24th.
Our teams, we have a medical commission, and I believe the medical commission is aware of this. It's getting all the briefings from the IOC, from the respective international federations, and we are going to have our own briefings with our teams at the appropriate time in terms of being able to be aware and take mitigating effects.
Already, 17 athletes are assured of representing Uganda in Tokyo. The status of the Olympic Games remains uncertain. Japan has already called off a number of public events, including the Tokyo Marathon. But the International Olympic Committee says it is still fully committed to having the Games go on as scheduled. A final decision will, however, be made within the next 2 to 3 months. Leon Senyange, CGTN, Kampala, Uganda.
Elsewhere, the Egypt Olympics Committee has stopped affiliate federations from sending athletes to nations affected by the outbreak. The decision is seen as a huge hurdle for sportsmen and women in the Tokyo 2020 qualifying season. This week, the country is also hosting the Modern Pentathlon World Cup in a challenging test for health authorities. Here's Adel Mahrui with more.
Like all nations in the world, Egypt does not want to miss any chance to reach the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. But fears on the safety of its athletes from the new coronavirus has collided with that ambition.
The Olympic Committee is very concerned with the progression of the coronavirus. We are taking no risks in competitions that are done in the Far East, whether in China or in Korea. Okay, with our athletes, we prefer not to participate in those competitions. But we are taking all the regulations and precautions needed unless it is extremely necessary. We need the points to qualify or something, and this then has to be done on the own risk of the federation itself.
The Egyptian Olympics Committee has set clear guidelines for participating in events abroad. It's been burdened with a bigger responsibility this week to guarantee the safety of modern pentathlon players who came to Egypt for the World Cup and Olympic qualifying games.
We have preparations with the Health Ministry, in Egypt, and the Ministry of Sport, of Youth and Sport. We have everything put in place to guarantee that there is no risk on any player. Players are checked regularly in the hotel and in the playing arenas. We have a full medical team in charge, as well as another full medical team from the Ministry of Health, taking care of that no risk whatsoever is in the competition.
But while the world is frightened from the virus, the International Union of Modern Pentathlon insists that its players were not concerned.
It was very interesting. There was not any question from the athletes linked to the coronavirus. We are taking care very much in all the competitions, speaking closely with the organizers, and therefore also we know that the Egyptians also took their medical services, that everything are, let's say, protected so far.
Egypt has so far taken plausible measures to protect athletes from any threat to their health. More work was provided for the Chinese team to guarantee their safety and ensure athletes playing against them.
Egyptian Federation could, on the diplomatic way, arrange a visa that the Chinese athletes can stay longer here to prepare themselves for the World Cup in Sofia and the other World Cups in Europe. So that is, I think, an optimal presentation of willingness to support athletes from other countries. This is a great solidarity, and we are very thankful to the Egyptian Federation.
We feel that there is no risk on our children or on them at all. People have to know that not just because you're Chinese, then you have the coronavirus. This is really some kind of discrimination, and we do not accept that at all. They have the right to play. They are in good condition. They are very strong contenders.
The Chinese team will stay for the next whole month here in Cairo. They will train with the Egyptian national team until it's time to fly to World Cup 2. Adel Mahrui, CGTN, Cairo.
Still in North Africa, the Tunisian National Olympic Committee has put in place steps to safeguard athletes and is working with health authorities to mitigate the threat of the coronavirus outbreak ahead of Tokyo 2020. Adnan Shawashi brings us this report from Tunis.
The Tunisian National Olympic Committee has taken preventive measures to ensure athletes are informed of the threats posed by the COVID-19 ahead of Tokyo 2020.
The Olympic Games are universal, with the participation of around 206 Olympic committees. It's a huge gathering. Scientists are working hard to control the situation. Any gathering of thousands of athletes poses a threat to humanity, youth, and the athletes. We are following the outbreak and keeping our athletes informed.
Mahraz Boussaïen added that the International Olympic Committee prioritizes the safety and security of athletes and official delegations over organizing any sporting event, whether in Japan or anywhere in the world.
There's a threat to the Olympics in Tokyo. There's an ongoing debate within the International Olympic Committee on whether the Olympic Games should be postponed or cancelled if the world is unable to control the outbreak of this virus before the month of May.
The Tunisian National Observatory for New and Emerging Diseases is monitoring the situation.
We are following the instructions of the World Health Organization. The evaluation of risk is made by the National Committee that follows the COVID-19 outbreak in the world.
Tunisian authorities have reaffirmed the readiness of all health services and institutions to deal with any emergency. No suspected or confirmed case of infection with the COVID-19 has been recorded so far in the North African state. The Ministry of Health announced that any information on the suspected or confirmed case of infection with the new coronavirus will be made public. Meanwhile, Tunisian athletes continue their preparation at home for the Tokyo Olympics under the supervision of the National Olympic Committee. Adnan Shawashi, CGTN, Tunis.
Well, the World Health Organization insists that no decision will be made on the Tokyo 2020 Olympics in the near future in light of the coronavirus outbreak. In a statement on Thursday, the WHO officials said the outbreak has reached a decisive point and could become a pandemic. With less than 5 months to go before the Olympics, WHO Emergencies Program Head Dr. Mike Ryan said they were assisting Tokyo 2020 organizers with assessment and risk management advice. On Wednesday, Games officials said they are considering scaling down the torch relay due to concerns over the outbreak. Japan has moved to quell fears that the Olympics might be cancelled after IOC member Dick Pound said the Games would more likely be cancelled than postponed or moved if the virus forced any change in the schedule.
I think at this point everyone is monitoring the situation. I think the Tokyo 2020 committee and the Japanese government take the issue very seriously. So do the IOC, and I think everyone is working together to try and preserve what is a fantastically important global event, and everything will be done to make that a successful and event for the world.
And coming up on Sports Scene. Hosts Senegal start rugby talent search ahead of the 2022 Youth Olympic Games.
How will your world change today? What happens here? What happens there? Or what you make happen for yourself? If it matters to you, it matters to us too. Your stories are the stories that need to be told. Africa Live. Find your voice.
How would you create your legend? On the fields, on the tracks, in the arenas of Africa. Were you born to be a player? Could this moment be yours? Sports Scene, Find your game.
Welcome back. Now, Senegal is getting ready to host the Youth Olympic Games in 2022. The West African nation has already begun searching for talent in rugby for the Games that will be the first of their kind in Africa. Sadiq Shaban reports from Dakar.
Just outside the capital of Senegal, Dakar, is a school within a poor region of the city. The House of Rugby is a community school within the Yoff region that has become popular over the years. The school not only offers education but also uses rugby as a tool for socialization for kids from disadvantaged backgrounds. The kids' favorite part of the day is usually in the evenings. It's when they get to join other kids and play rugby on the beach.
L'ambition, c'est de former des joueurs.
The ambition is to form a kids team for the national selection for the national team and to develop rugby in this region of Yoff. Our duty is to nurture and grow them into national standards for the national squads.
Et avoir une bonne équipe en équipe nationale.
Rugby standards in Senegal have been on the rise in the recent past. The National League has 20 teams now from 16 drawn from across the country. But the sport's popularity and reception is still low among the public. It's the reason the Senegal Rugby Federation is reaching out to communities to popularize the sport among school children.
The project of Rugby Union Senegal is the child. We try for developing rugby. It is not high level. We have to learn rugby for the children and they grow with the rugby.
Le but, c'est de former des joueurs qui vont être.
The vision is to see these kids in 10 years play abroad, in France, in Italy and other professional leagues around the world.
En Italie ou en France ou en Espagne jouer.
Schools around Senegal have been urged to identify potential talents for consideration for trials for the upcoming Youth Olympics. Despite finding immense success in football and wrestling, Senegal is yet to translate that momentum into the sport of rugby. The country is yet to win any major continental tournament or even qualify for Rugby World Cup. But they want to use the occasion of the 2022 Youth Olympic Games that will be held here in Senegal to make their first mark. Sadiq Shaban, CGTN in Dakar, Senegal.
Now, judo is an ancient sport that's gaining popularity in South Africa. The martial art has grown since Zak Piontek competed at the 2016 Olympics and now looks set to have 2 women competing in Tokyo. But for the next event in Paris, one future star has set his sights on qualifying and doing his country proud. C.S. Duplessis has more.
Well, naturally, I'm not a very aggressive person, but when I'm on the mat, that beast in me comes out, and I'm allowed to express myself and show people what I've got.
And that beast is visible, even when the self-proclaimed introvert is training with the other players at the University of Pretoria's judo club, where he says he feels he is in the right place at the right time in his career.
Where I'm from, people have very average dreams, but I wanted more. So that's why I chose judo, that's why I came to Pretoria. I believe that they can take me there, and that fight, that performance that they bring every time just fueled my fire and given me hope that I can make it to Olympics.
The 19-year-old who made his debut appearance at the African Championships in 2018 has set his sights on Olympic gold and admits failure to achieve his dream is not an option, even if it means losing sleep while balancing a degree with his judo career.
One thing I normally think about is that I've put in a lot of work to be where I am right now, and to quit would be just pointless. So I just try to remember that I gave up a lot to do judo, I gave up a lot to be where I am, and I can't just quit now. Even if I'm tired or gassed, I have to push because I have a dream.
The University of Pretoria law student is under no illusions as to what is required to qualify for the Olympic Games. And despite admitting that the 2020 event might be one too soon, his laser-like focus is on becoming the best on the continent in the under 60 kilogram category and securing his place in the South African team in Paris in 2024. C.S. Duplessis, CGTN, Pretoria.
Let's go to Côte d'Ivoire now to learn more about Sagbali, a new combat sport that's making waves in the West African country. This discipline, which combines traditional and modern wrestling techniques, is growing at a rapid pace, and both fighters and organizers say it's only a matter of time until it becomes an international phenomenon. Terry Wangari tells us more.
Weighing in between 96 and 120 kilograms, these tall and muscular heavyweight fighters, or Sagabalists, take part in a traditional pastime steeped in Ivorian history and making a major comeback. To maintain their physical conditioning, these athletes hold fights every Saturday at the beach or in makeshift arenas. Fights normally last 3 rounds of 3 minutes, and to win a fight, one fighter must overcome his opponent by putting him on his back or stomach. Today, this traditional combat sport can count itself as one of the most popular in Côte d'Ivoire.
Many young people come to encourage us during our training. In Abidjan today, Sagbali attracts almost as many people as football does. Sagbali is a traditional Ivorian wrestling with a touch of modernity. In my opinion, this is what fascinates most of the people in this sport.
I was originally a boxer, but when I discovered Sagbali through social networks, I wanted to try it out, and today I don't regret it. Besides, in Sagbali, there are similarities with boxing, like hand-to-hand combat. So for me, really, it's all happiness.
Promoters say the sport plays a major role in gatherings and social integration, elevating school graduates and sometimes even outlaws into ambassadors of peace and role models.
Today, I am an Ivorian double. However, before I was up to no good. I dream of being classified among the greats internationally when this sport will be recognized globally in a few years.
Our goal is to show young people that they can use their forms positively and be useful to society. We encourage them to practice Sagbali instead of doing bad things.
To promote this sport, the Ivorian Sagabali Federation, which boasts over 100 fighters, organizes numerous nationwide competitions every year. And as the discipline and its competitors and supporters grows, hopes are high that it will move beyond Côte d'Ivoire's borders and take root internationally as well. Terry Wangari, CGTN.
Now, the annual Tour du Rwanda has catapulted cycling into arguably the most successful and famous sports in the East African nation. Since turning international in 2009, the Tour has risen to become Rwanda's signature sporting event, as Mohamed Abubakar now reports.
For the last 12 years, the Tour du Rwanda has enjoyed remarkable growth. From humble beginning an amateur cycling race in 1988, the event turned international in 2009 when it was accorded the 2.2 UCI Africa Tour status. 10 years later, in 2019, the World Cycling Governing Body UCI upgraded it to a 2.1 category tour, same as Gabon's La Tropicale Amissa Bongo. With this year's edition being the second since its latest upgrade, Rwanda has become the first East African country to attract UCI World Tour teams to compete.
This is the second 2.1 edition, and you can already tell the race has become more competitive. Since last year, we've been competing with more experienced riders. This race will continue becoming tougher. As you can see, this year we have more World Tour teams.
Huge interest among the locals who line up in thousands along the route to watch the competitors has been a major catalyst for the growth of the tour.
You know, after the genocide and different stories that were happening around Rwanda, cycling kind of united people as one sport. If you have been watching the Tour du Rwanda, for instance, it brings all people to the streets. So it became as a unifying sport. The sense of victory, the sense of winning came back to the Rwandan people, and it's something really strong for the nation if you know that you're strong in certain things and you're winning in it.
The dominance of home riders in the tour in the past decade prompted Rwandan President Paul Kagame to establish the Africa Rising Cycling Center in the northern region of the country.
Well, let's now get some more just before we go on the Tour de Rwanda from Kigali, where CGTN's Mohamed Abubakar joins us. Mohamed, very quickly, with the Tour de Rwanda in its final stages, what highlights have you seen so far?
Thank you so much, Mahia. Well, apart from the competitiveness, you have to talk about the fans, the passion, the excitement you see around here. From the first stage up until the last stages now, we're into the last stages, and you can see how excited they are. They turn up in numbers, they feel the streets, and they not only cheer the local riders, the local heroes, but also cheer on the other competitors from other countries as well. And you can tell that this sport has really been enshrined in the culture of these people. I also have to talk about the organizing. They've been upgraded to 2.1 deservedly, because it comes with responsibility as well, and it's becoming harder now because you're attracting more teams and attracting more stakeholders into this tour and competition. And the fact that Rwanda has just come from bidding to host the World Cycling Championships in 2025 has brought UCI officials here to observe this competition. So the organizing has been top and up to standards so far, and hopefully, crossing their fingers, they can get that bid to host the World Cycling Championships, which will be the first time in Africa. And you also have to talk about the routes, all the 8 stages. It offers so much in terms of competitors as well. Flat routes, hilly, meandering roads, and of course, all this flanked by great scenes and the landscapes of 1,000 hills. Mahia.
Finally, very briefly, Mohamed, speaking about the UCI, what possible impact will the proposed World Cycling Center there have on the sport in the country and region?
Well, it's huge. It's huge not only for Rwanda, but for the region as well. This is a center that has produced top Rwandan cyclists. They have been winning this competition for a lot of years, these past few decades, and it's due to this cycling center. And the fact that UCI has decided to come and set up a World Cycling Center here means it's going to be expanded, and Rwanda now has to share this cycling center with the region. You cannot only count on top-rated or other top-rated tours in Africa. They're not enough, Mahia, to be able to hope to get these platforms to have more pro riders. So this cycling center is it's only the second one in Africa after South Africa. So it's going to provide a bigger platform for more riders across the country to come and be trained by top coaches and train alongside top riders as well, so that they can be able to sign professionally with teams across Africa and Europe as well. Mahia.
All right, Mohamed, thank you very much for your insights there. Mohamed Abubakar joining us live there from Kigali. Well, that's it for this edition of Sports Scene. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, you can send your feedback to those contacts on your screen now and give us a follow on our digital media platforms. I'm Mahia Mutua. Thanks for watching. See you again same time next week.